Infinite power.
So number 5 is going to come off as kind of a weird pick, but it's got to be any of the Naruto fighting games, and I'm just going to have the Awakenings from Naruto Storm Revolution play on screen. Anyways, I like the series because, well, it's a fighter. And any Naruto game is normally a fighter. There's very few exceptions, looking at you, Naruto Uzumaki Chronicles. And they're all fun, not gonna lie. They're the right pace of action, they're the right mix of, what's the word here, they're the right mix of balance and playability. I mean, they're pick up and play just like Smash Brothers, and yes, some characters are OP as hell, but others are just, well, crap. There, I said it. And one of said characters is Karin. She is basically a spam tool and nothing more, because her attacks don't do that much damage. We all can agree on that. But other characters, like any one of the Naruto versions, Danzo in this game, hell, any of the Tailed Beasts, or the Uchihas really, are just OP as hell. And to be honest, even characters that use long-range attacks are pretty powerful in this game. But if you know how to work the character well and fight in a fighter just as well, then you don't have anything to worry about, really. It's just a matter of figuring out how the game works and what you gotta do. That's all it really is. I mean, that's every fighter, so why would this game be any different? But anyways, I love it because each game usually tells the story of the anime, and well, let's face it, the games are the easiest way of learning the story without the flippin' filler episodes. So yeah, Naruto video game franchises in general. Not just the Storm series, not just the Clash of Ninjas, not anything in particular, just the Naruto video game series as a whole. That is number 5 on my list, because it's the anime without all of the stupid fucking filler. But yeah, that and the gameplay is like a flippin' facelift. It keeps improving in most cases, except in Storm Revolution, where they had to balance all the crap out, which I'm so glad they're making it go back to normal for Storm 4. Personally, if you want to know who I normally use, I usually use Perfect Susanoo Sasuke, Yagura, and Hidan. Other than that, I don't use too many characters more often. But yeah. Number 5, Naruto franchise as a whole.
Infinite power.
So the next one may piss some people off, but number 4 is Super Smash Brothers. Why is it only at number 4? Because the next 3 I love even more than this. And keep in mind, I am a huge fan of the fighter genre. I have Tekken 6, I have Soul Calibur 5, 2 and 3, I have a lot of the Naruto games, I have Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Keep that in mind. And yet, this series, even though I have played and owned every single one of the copies except for Wii U, it's only number 4. Because, yeah, it's Nintendo. It's a big crossover with Nintendo shit, but that's the thing, it's just a crossover. The only time they really tried to expand on it is in Brawl. And to be honest, that's my favorite of the series. For story. But gameplay, the 3DS one is probably my favorite overall. And with the Super Smash Bros. Ballots coming out, not gonna lie, that whoever comes out as the new DLC may improve my liking of this franchise, but as it stands, it's still at number 4. Now, this series has been a big part of my childhood because it was one of the first games I ever played. What I mean by that is, in the last episode I said that I grew up with a PlayStation 1. But before that, I played a Nintendo 64 at my cousin's a lot. And this is one of the games we would always, and I mean always, rent. So, needless to say, we always had a fun game that everyone could play. And, yeah, it's aged well over the years, and some stuff has gotten out of control. Like, yes, I agree, we basically have clones every now and then, but with some of the clones, they actually try to vary it up with more powerful or faster or slower things, but they do a good job, not gonna lie. And the games are only getting better and better as the series goes on. So yeah, Super Smash Bros. Number 4 because it's probably my favorite fighter series, but it's not my favorite series. So yeah.
Infinite power.
Yes, I admit it. Pokemon is not my favorite franchise. Shocked? Because I've owned and played every single one of the mainstream games that's not for Wii U, basically, or any real on the consoles. I mean, I started out with Pokemon Stadium 2, Blue, Red, and I am what you would call a Joe toddler. I flippin' love the second generation. And Generation 5 is a close second because I love how they actually incorporated story into it. Now, that aside, if you're a fan of Pokemon, you know why you're a fan of Pokemon. They have great gameplay. The mechanics are not really changing, but they add things in to spice it up every now and then. Like in the first game, there was, well, the games themselves. The second game, they added the Dark and Steel types, and the use of hold items and such. Third games, they introduced new abilities, new mechanics as to raising your Pokemon. The list only goes on and on as to what happened in each generation to really change them. And to each person, there are Pokemon from each generation that just fit. Legit, there are. I mean, for me, you wouldn't think this, but for Generation 1, I would say Lapras fits the best. For Generation 2, that one's a tough one to call, but in all honesty, it'd probably have to be like Sneasel. And no, I'm not just listing off ice types. There really are different Pokemon for each generation that represents the region and the generation that they're in. Like for me, for Generation 6, the Pokemon that best represents the whole thing is probably Noivern. Because it's like one of the few dragon types they had, but it's still one that, oh hey, look, you know what it is. Because it's a good design, it's not something that's stupid. And yes, Pokemon has had some really stupid designs in the past, I'm not going to deny that. Like, Generation 5 had the Ice Cream Pokemon and the Trash Pokemon. But people don't look at the fact that a lot of the Pokemon in Generation 5 were homages and straight up remakes to some original Pokemon. For example, Crustle and Dwebble. They were a replacement of Paris and Parasect, just a different typing instead of grass. That was a homage, and nobody really pays attention to those ones. They just look at the dumb ones that come out now and then, and just focus on that. Enough about the technical stuff. Pokemon as a whole is one of my favorites because of what it is. But it's only third on the list because, well, it's Pokemon. I can't be that predictable.
Infinite power.
Well, this is gonna get a lot of people pissed off. My number 2 favorite video game franchise of all time is not only some of the PlayStation 1's greatest video game series, but Pokemon's ultimate rival, the Digimon franchise. Yes, I like the video games for Digimon more than Pokemon. Come at me. But yeah, I flipping love these games. These were the first games that I ever played really as a kid. Because my first video game that I ever owned and played on my own was the PlayStation 1 Digimon World 1 video game. I had asked my uncle for it for my birthday, and he actually gave it to me way prior to that, but I was 2 years old, and let me tell you something, that's one conversation that none of your parents are ever going to have. That your child's first video game is a rated T video game for PlayStation 1. Actually, if any of you had a PlayStation 1 when you were growing up, and you were my age around that time, go and ask your parents, seriously, if that ever happened to you. But yeah, this series has captivated my heart for many, many years because I flipping love Digimon. I love the cartoon. I flipping love all the characters, the comedy, the video games themselves. And to be entirely honest, the only video game from the series that was released in English that I do not own as of today is Digimon World 3 itself. And that's an honest statement right there. I mean, I played it through emulator, but I don't own the game. My personal favorite out of the whole series in general is tied between the card battle game, and Digimon World DS. All the games in themselves are great, and I wouldn't change them for the better. I mean, the only thing that I would change is the card game has, like, some of the Digimon from the Tamers franchise in there, because that would make that even better, not going to lie. And that's another thing. The game is great. Why don't people talk about it more? Well, I can answer that question already. But my point is, Digimon World in itself got multiple sequels. Why didn't Digimon Digital Card Battle? Anyways, I'm just ranting now, and a lot of you will probably recognize the footage here because these are from Digimon World 2's intro and Digimon World 3's intro, and I've used them in multiple videos myself, so they should be somewhat recognizable if you've been on the channel for a while. So yeah, the Digimon series as a whole is one of my favorites, but there's still one series that tops even Digimon, despite how much it's been an influence in my life. Ladies and gentlemen, next stop is my #1 video game pick of any franchise.
I'm just gonna grow up in a battle, A. Gonna let the darkness keep on burning my fire. Ain't nobody gonna stop me. I gotta stop this nightmare because I'm dreaming of my future. Past, future, present is the world that we live in. I ain't scared of my past because tomorrow keeps approaching fast. I'm screaming out from my pride. Now I need you to wipe away your tears. The time has come to face our fears. To know I'm never falling down. I'll keep on sailing. Now this is my destiny.
Well, if you were expecting this, you were dead on. My favorite video game franchise of all time is Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts is one of my favorites because it was on the PS2, a friend of mine got me into it, and yes, it's full of crazy Disney/Final Fantasy bullshit, but do I look like I care? No, because Kingdom Hearts is flipping amazing. The gameplay is spot on. The mechanics are implemented perfectly well, and let's be honest here, everyone who ever had a PS2 owned at least the original Kingdom Hearts, if not that with the card version, and PS2, whose version of the card version of the game anyway. Anyways, Kingdom Hearts is just a game that if you've played, there's no need to explain why you like it. There really is no reason to explain. And yes, some parts are slow, mainly the intros, and yeah, it's cutscene heavy, but that's why people like it, because It's Disney influenced due to the fact that Disney has a major part in the game, so there's going to be a lot of cheesy cutscenes and movie portions in the game. No denying that. But that's not what I love about it. What I love about it is the overtop boss battles. Like, this is one of my first runs on the PS3 version's Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix against Sephiroth. Keep in mind, I don't have Ultima Weapon in this video. But yeah, it's still there. I beat him. And yeah, Kingdom Hearts is just there because the boss battles are perfect.